welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a case that really stunned the nation's capital. The D.C. mansion murders.
Mm-hmm.
This was just a horrific 19-hour ordeal back in May 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story of terror, a really intense investigation, and a trial that, well, even years later, it leaves us with some lingering questions.
Exactly. And our aim here is to really peel back the layers of this incredibly complex case. We're using the sources you've provided, mostly a detailed YouTube video transcript.
Right.
We'll meticulously unpack the factual timeline, what happened in May 2015, walk you through the investigation, the trial that followed, and explore those questions that still kind of hang in the air.
Yeah.
Our mission is really just to make sure you're thoroughly informed about this brutal crime, but without feeling overwhelmed. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And at the heart of it all, you've got the Savopoulos family, Savas, Amy, their young son, Philip, and their beloved housekeeper, Vera. You really can't talk about this case without understanding their world first, because their story, tragically, became one of just unimaginable terror.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start by introducing you to the Savopoulos family and the life they'd built. Savopoulos, he was the CEO of American Iron Works, Inc., huge construction company in the D.C. area.
Right. Very successful.
Yeah, friends described him as larger than life, a solid guy with a deep belly laugh.
Yeah.
And he was married to his high school sweetheart, Amy Martin.
Yeah, I saw that quote. A friend said they were as good a match as peanut butter and jelly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It paints a picture, doesn't it?
It does. And that's a vital point because, our sources show this wasn't just any family. They were genuinely well-known, loved in their community.
Yeah.
Their multi-million-dollar mansion on Woodland Drive, that's one of D.C.'s most affluent areas.
Right.
And Savas, he was involved on the board of the National Child Research Center, coached his kids' sports teams, Amy too, right? Deeply involved, baking for classes, volunteering.
Yeah. Just really part of the fabric of the community. Their son, Philip, only 10 years old, but already a promising go-kart racer.
Oh, wow.
His coach described him as 10 years old, going on 35. Like an old soul.
Huh. Mature for his age.
Definitely. They also had two older daughters, Katerina, who was 19, and Abigail, 16. They were both away at boarding school when this happened.
Okay, so they weren't home.
No. And the family also employed two housekeepers. Nellie, she'd been with them for 20 years, really part of the family.
Wow, 20 years.
Yeah. And Nellie had introduced Vera to them about 5 years prior. Vera was working so hard, sending savings back to her kids in El Salvador for college.
Oh, wow.
She had plans to retire there with her husband, Bernardo, the very next year.
So sad. This whole background, it just paints this picture of a seemingly perfect, successful life,
It really does.
Which makes what happened next even more shocking. This clearly wasn't like a random target.
No, not at all. Okay, so let's turn to Wednesday, May 13th. This is the day the nightmare really began. Philip was homesick from school, recovering from a concussion.
Okay.
So Amy was home looking after him. Savas, meanwhile, was out checking on a new martial arts studio he was opening in Virginia. It was just days away from the grand opening.
Right. And Nellie, the longtime housekeeper, she was actually with Savas, helping clean and prepare the studio.
Yeah, that's right.
And the source material here, it points to some subtle, kind of early warning signs that, looking back, are just absolutely chilling.
Like what?
Well, okay, 3:13 p.m., a pet boarding company called the Savopoulos landline, it was disconnected. So they left messages on Amy's cell. Then, just 11 minutes later, 3:25 p.m., a neighbor sees Amy walking alone, head down, dressed differently than she was in later surveillance footage.
Weird.
Yeah, and the defense later tried to use that to, sow some doubt.
Okay.
And then, just before 4:30 p.m., a dog-sitting company employee spoke to Amy on the phone. Said she sounded sleepy and under the weather, not her usual chatty self.
So something was definitely off by late afternoon.
It seems like these aren't just like isolated things. They hint that something was already unfolding, some kind of disruption.
A really unsettling sequence. And the timeline, it takes an even more chilling turn right here.
Yeah.
Savas gets a call from Amy, close to 5 p.m.
Okay.
And this call prompts him to return home. He told Nellie he was going back to look after Philip because Amy supposedly had plans to go out.
Right.
But the grim reality, and this is detailed in our source, was that Savas walked into a house where everyone, Amy, Philip, and Vera, they were already captive, already tied up.
Oh my God. He walked right into it.
Yeah. Can you imagine the horror, just walking through that door?
It's unthinkable. And what's really striking is this bizarre string of calls and actions that followed, clearly orchestrated by the captor, or captors.
Right, using Amy and Savas like puppets.
Exactly. To keep up appearances for the outside world, like just before 6 p.m., the family security company gets an alert.
Right.
Broken glass outside the house. Savas speaks to them, apparently sounds calm, even asks how he can access the footage.
Oh, under that duress.
Incredible. Then Savas leaves a voicemail for his assistant and driver, Jordan Wallace, asking him to pick up a package from American Ironworks for delivery the next morning.
Okay, seemingly normal work stuff, but
totally controlled. Later that night, 9 p.m., Amy calls Domino's, orders 2 pepperoni pizzas, pays with a credit card.
pizza.
Yeah. And gives these really specific, weird instructions. Ring the doorbell. I'm caring for a sick child. Just leave it by the front door.
That's odd. Very specific.
Very. And the strange calls didn't stop there.
Okay.
9:35 p.m., Savas leaves this really unusual voicemail for Nellie, the housekeeper who was with him earlier. Tells her not to come to work the next day.
Why?
He claims Amy is sick and Vera is staying the night, but Nellie later said that had never happened before.
Never. Okay, red flag.
Huge red flag.
Yeah.
He also told Nellie that Vera's phone was dead, and Nellie noted Savas sounded flustered and tense. She could even hear shouting in the background.
Shouting. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and when the Domino's driver actually arrived, he said the porch light was on, but the house itself was totally dark and eerily quiet.
Chilling. Just chilling. And then there was the money request.
Right. Early hours of May 14th now, Savas calls Jordan Wallace again and also his CFO. He needs $40,000 in cash.
$40,000. Wow.
Yeah. Given to Jordan. And Jordan's instructed to put the package he picked up earlier, plus the cash, into Savas's red sports car. And the directive was, don't knock, I will be on conference call.
Oh, knock. The level of control is just terrifying.
Absolutely chilling.
So as Thursday, May 14th dawned, the alarm bells really started ringing for people who knew the family's routine.
Right. Around 8:30 a.m., neighbors noticed the family cars were still in the driveway. Highly unusual for them that time of day.
Okay.
By 9:30 a.m., Vera's husband, Bernardo, gets home from his night shift. Vera's not there.
Oh, no.
He starts to panic, basically. Drives straight to the Savopoulos mansion.
Meanwhile, Nellie, the other housekeeper.
Yeah. Just before 10 a.m., Nellie gets a text message from Amy's phone, sent at 9:56. It just confirms Savas's voicemail from the night before, telling her not to come in.
Okay.
Nellie also listens to Savas's voicemail for the first time then. Hears how flustered he sounds. Hears that background shouting she couldn't identify. She tries calling Amy, texting her back. No reply.
Bernardo gets to the house.
Yeah, and his encounter is just deeply unsettling. He rings the doorbell, bangs on the door, doesn't hear voices, but hears, like, shuffling, murmuring sounds, the dogs making noise, and a distinct scraping sound.
Scraping? Like what?
He described it almost like a chair being dragged across the floor.
Okay, creepy.
Super creepy. And then suddenly his phone rings. It's Savas.
Calling from inside the house.
Apparently. Apologizing, saying Vera is at the hospital with Amy.
What? That's a terrible excuse.
Right. Bernardo thought it was incredibly strange, especially since Savas was, as he put it, only the other side of the door.
The sense of dread must have just been overwhelming by then.
Totally. And as the morning goes on, Jordan Wallace arrives, Savas's driver.
Right, with the package and the cash.
Exactly. Follows instructions, puts everything in the red sports car. He sends Savas a text at 10:26 a.m., package delivered.
Did he get a reply?
No. Watched his phone. Nothing.
Wow.
Then around noon, a neighbor reports seeing something else. A middle-aged black male with dreadlocks entering the family's garage.
Entering the garage? How?
The neighbor said it didn't look like he forced the door. It just seemed to open for him.
Okay, that's significant.
Very. And this is where the private nightmare just explodes into a public tragedy. Only an hour and a half later, about 1:30 p.m., 911 calls start flooding in.
The fire.
Yep, fire reported on Woodland Drive.
When the firefighters got there, battled their way inside. I mean, the scene they found. The family dogs were outside, stressed, but okay.
Right, they got out somehow.
But inside,
yeah,
it was just grim beyond words. Savas, Amy, and Vera were found dead in one bedroom and in the room next door. 10-year-old Philip. His body was, the reports say, so badly charred he was unrecognizable.
Unimaginable, just horrific.
The sheer horror of that discovery.
Yeah.
It's hard to even process.
It really is. And the autopsies, they confirmed the awful reality. All 4 victims had been brutally beaten with a baseball bat.
Right?
Suffocated, strangled, bound, stabbed, just immense violence.
And Philippa?
He had additional injuries from a samurai sword found in the house and potentially burned alive, though the medical examiner couldn't be 100% certain on that because the burns were so severe.
My God.
All 4 bodies were doused in gasoline. The fire was started deliberately in Philip's bedroom.
Horrific.
Yeah.
And they found signs of restraint.
Yes. Amy and Vera had duct tape residue on their wrists. Savas had been restrained, possibly with a zip tie. The medical examiner was clear. They were tortured over a very long period of time.
19 hours. It's unimaginable torment.
Yeah.
And the initial crime scene findings, what did they tell police?
Well, it was a mix. Chaos, but also calculation. There was a smashed window on the side of the house, phone lines cut,
Okay.
a boot print on one of the doors. A knife was found stuck in a window gap, almost like propping it open.
Suggesting maybe control over entry or exit?
Perhaps. The family's computer, the one with the surveillance footage, had been ripped out of the attic and stolen.
So the footage was gone.
Gone. And critically, the family's blue Porsche, a 2008 model, was missing.
The getaway car.
Believed to be. It was later found burned out in a church parking lot. And inside that torched Porsche, they found a green construction vest.
Okay, a construction vest. That seems random.
It seemed random, but it turned out to be crucial DNA evidence.
Right. Now, initially, the police said something about no forced entry.
Yeah, that was the initial report. No clear sign of forced entry into the main house, which made them think the attackers were maybe familiar with the family's routine.
Which kind of conflicts with the smashed window. But okay.
It does add a layer of confusion early on. They were also looking for someone seen fleeing the burning Porsche carrying a large white object. What that was, unclear.
But the big break, the real breakthrough, came from something totally unexpected, right? Something that survived the fire.
Yeah, amazingly. It was that Domino's pizza ordered the night before.
The pizza?
Half-eaten, but untouched by the flames somehow. And on the crusts.
DNA.
Exactly. Saliva DNA. They ran it, and it hit on someone already very much in their system.
Someone with a record.
A significant record. This led incredibly quickly, just 1 week after the murders, to an arrest warrant being issued for 34-year-old Darren Wint.
Wow, 1 week. That's fast.
Amazingly fast, thanks to that pizza crust.
And Wint, how is he connected to the family?
He was a former employee at Savas company, American Iron Works, worked as a welder about 10 years prior.
10 years before, okay.
Yeah. And he'd also done some odd jobs around the Savopoulos family home occasionally. Savas was known to be friendly with his employees, tried to get to know them.
So there was a connection, albeit from a while back.
There was.
Okay.
And Wint's past, well, the sources lay it out, and it's troubling.
How so?
He lost that job at American Iron Works for threatening a coworker with a knife.
Okay, not good.
Had major problems keeping jobs after that. Was discharged from Marine Corps recruit training for medical reasons. And his criminal record, it was long.
Okay.
Escalating.
Like what kind of charges?
Assault, malicious destruction of property, burglary, theft, domestic violence, sexual offenses, weapons possession. I mean, the list goes on.
Wow.
His own father took out our protective order against him back in 2005.
Against his own son. Okay.
And in 2010, get this, he was arrested armed with a pistol and a machete right across the street from American Iron Works.
Whoa, so a clear pattern of violence and instability.
Definitely. And the physical evidence connecting him to the crime scene.
Right. What did they find?
His DNA was on that knife stuck in the window,
Okay.
found in a bed inside the house, and on that green construction vest inside the burned-out Porsche.
Their best again. So multiple DNA hits.
Yeah. Multiple key locations. Plus, the torched Porsche was found near an apartment complex where Wint used to live.
Okay, the pieces were really falling into place.
They were. It paints a pretty compelling picture based on the evidence trail.
So they issue the warrant. What happens next? A manhunt.
A frantic manhunt, yeah, across multiple states. While he was on the run, Wint actually took a taxi all the way from D.C. to New York.
A taxi. Wow.
Yeah. Eventually, his girlfriend called the police, gave them an idea where he might be heading.
Okay.
And police later found his internet search history from that time. He'd searched for things like how to beat a lie detector, 10 hideout cities for fugitives, and even countries with no extradition treaty.
Doesn't exactly scream innocence, does it?
No, it really speaks to a certain level of desperation and trying to figure out how to get away with it.
So they catch him.
They do. Finally tracked him down in a truck. He was with 3 other people, and there were $100 bills just scattered around the vehicle.
A ransom money. Or part of it.
Presumably part of the $40,000 he was taken into custody right there.
Okay, so fast forward 3 years, 2018. The trial finally begins.
Right. Wint pleads not guilty to, I think it was 20 charges. First-degree murder, kidnapping, burglary, extortion, arson, theft, the whole list.
You're not guilty. So what was the defense strategy?
It was bold. They basically tried to point the finger entirely at Wint's brothers, Daryl and Stefan.
His brothers.
Yeah. Claimed Wint was basically duped, that he thought he was just going to the house for a decorating job.
A decorating job, seriously.
That was the claim. And that he left when he realized his brothers actually wanted to rob the place.
But he admitted eating the pizza.
He did admit staying long enough to eat a slice of pizza, which is, where his DNA came from. But his lawyer famously argued that Wint doesn't like pizza.
Doesn't like pizza, okay.
And called the DNA evidence junk science.
Junk science. That's a tough sell with DNA, isn't it?
Very tough sell. The defense also tried to muddy the waters by implicating Jordan Wallace, Savas' driver.
The guy who delivered the money.
They pointed out that Jordan maybe changed some details about the money delivery under questioning. That he took a picture of the cash, which he later deleted.
Okay, why'd he do that?
He testified he took it to kind of show off, but deleted it later. The defense also highlighted things found in his backpack, passport, checkbook, car registration, implying maybe he was planning something.
Trying to create reasonable doubt.
Exactly. They even brought up that witness who claimed to see Amy's Porsche being driven by a man with short, well-groomed hair, which clearly wasn't Wint with his dreadlocks.
Right, so they were throwing out alternatives.
Absolutely. Standard defense tactic, explore every possibility, poke holes where you can.
But the prosecution, they must have had strong counter-arguments, right, given the evidence.
Oh, yeah. The prosecution's case was largely built on that mountain of evidence.
What?
They argued the motive was simply purely by greed and revenge.
Greed and revenge.
Yeah. And they argued that even if Wint did have help, which they didn't concede, he was still guilty based on his actions and presence.
Makes sense. Accomplice liability.
Right. An FBI expert testified saying so many pieces coming back to just one person, Darren Wint, pointed to his history of anger, violence, the connection to the company, the DNA, and those key spots.
And what about Jordan Wallace?
The experts suggested his inconsistencies were understandable, likely due to the high pressure and trauma of the whole situation. And Jordan himself testified against Wint, explaining the photo as just showing off. Police had already cleared him as a suspect early on.
Okay.
Plus, Wint's own stepmom testified against him.
His stepmom. Wow. What did she say?
Said that he and his van were just gone unseen for about 36 hours right during the time of the crime, which was apparently highly unusual for him.
Adding to the suspicion.
Definitely. And there was incredibly emotional testimony from Amy Savopoulos' father, which must have been devastating for the jury to hear.
I can only imagine.
And perhaps the most chilling part, as our source notes, was when they showed court footage of the charred bedroom where Philip was found. Wint reportedly showed absolutely no emotion.
Nothing. That's disturbing.
Extremely. So after a 7-week trial, the jury deliberated.
And the verdict?
Guilty. On all 20 charges.
Yeah.
He was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences, no possibility of parole.
So locked up forever. Did he appeal?
He did. Appealed for a new trial a couple of years later, but it was denied.
So looking at the bigger picture now, Wint is convicted, sentenced, but has anyone else ever been charged?
No. To this day, no one else has ever been charged in connection with the murders.
And Wint himself, has he ever spoken about it, named anyone?
He has not. He's remained silent on whether he had help or about the events of those 19 hours.
So for some people, that leaves questions, doesn't it?
It does. For some, questions definitely linger. Could Wint really have done all of this by himself? Controlled 4 people, committed the murders, set the fire, handled the ransom. It seems like a lot for one person.
Yeah.
And who is that witness who saw the Porsche driven by a man with short hair? Was that just a mistake or someone else involved?
Right. And why leave valuables behind if the motive was just money? They found jewelry and other things left in the house, right?
Exactly. Why leave those to burn if it was purely about cash? These are the questions that some people still wrestle with.
But for others?
For others, the evidence is just too conclusive. Wint's escalating criminal record, his clear financial desperation at the time, his past connection to the family, however distant.
And the DNA.
And the DNA. That DNA evidence has only ever pointed to him, as the prosecution argued. For many, that's the bottom line. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, that sometimes, even with a conviction, that need for complete, absolute closure isn't always met.
No, it isn't. That sense of uncertainty can remain.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean now, looking back? The Savopoulos home itself? It's gone, right?
Yeah, it was torn down in 2017. A new mansion was eventually built on the lot.
Wow. Erasing the physical scar, maybe?
Perhaps. But a decade later, this case is still talked about, still remembered as just one of the worst and most shocking crimes in recent D.C. memory.
Absolutely. And the full, terrible truth of what happened inside that house during those 19 hours, we'll likely never know all of it.
Tragically, no. For the surviving daughters, Katerina and Abigail, for Vera's husband, Bernardo, and their children, for Nellie, the housekeeper who lost her dear friends, for Jordan Wallace,
Yeah.
for Savas employees, that list of questions, the what-ifs, it just continues to loop endlessly in their minds, you know?
You can't even imagine.
That cycle of fleeting thoughts combined with just the all-consuming grief and pain.